Topeka City Council meeting will come to order. If you would please rise as you are able and give your attention to Councilman Jensen for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you all. If we could take a moment of silence so everyone in their own faith could say grace. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation this evening, and a number of people here involved in this. It has to do with the monarch butterfly issue. And keep coming back. And we have this thing right here with the sign. Actually, last fall, the mayor's office received a number of communications from the National Wildlife Federation stating that they were organizing mayors throughout the country to take a pledge of commitment for monarch butterfly. In case you aren't aware, the monarch butterfly population has plummeted at an alarming rate. The decline is so severe that it is possible that within the next 20 years they could become extinct. At one time, there were, they say, almost 1 billion butterflies going up north and south across the country, and it has dwindled down to the numbers that are just almost minuscule today. The lowest populations have been recorded in the last 3 censuses. And the cause of this is that the milkweed is the primary nesting, eating place for the monarch butterfly, and they've been greatly reduced due to the herbicides that are used in genetic corn and sorghum. So out of all of this, we have practically the total demise of the butterfly. Now, the people most interested in this are the master gardeners of Shawnee County that work with Extension. And if I could have the head of Extension, the county extension person, tell a little bit about the Master Gardener program.
Certainly. If I may, I'd also add to what you were saying that part of where we lose the monarch environment is that so much more land has gone back into production. It was fallow land and farmland, and because of those products, they're allowed then to go back into farming, which cut out a lot of the open field that had milkweed in it. So that was a greater loss into the land mass that we need to have for monarchs to live on. So, I am Jamie Hancock, Kidd. I'm the Master Gardener. Actually, I'm the horticulture agent for Shawnee County, and I'm the head of the Master Gardener program here. We have 180 plus Master Gardeners in our county, and we have done a lot of work to help with the monarchs. We have a plant sale every year. How many of you know we have a plant sale? First Saturday in May. Just plugging there. And what we do each year, we've been selling in the last couple of years plants that attract pollinators, but most particularly the monarchs. So we sell them milkweed, which is an incredible plant that's the only plant the monarchs really like. So what we've done is promote those through our plant sale. We also have 2 established Monarch Watch stations. One is at our extension office there at 17th and Western, 1740 Southwest Western, backside of the Expo Center. And we have another one at Cedar Crest, right at the beginning of the entrance up to the governor's residence. There's a native plant garden there, and that one is also a listed Monarch Watch station. We have 2 more in process. One is at the Woodlands Garden, which is within the Ted Ensley Gardens at Lake Shawnee. And the other one is going to be, again, at the Extension office. We have what we're building as a backyard demonstration garden, which will also include another Monarch Watch station within that.
Let me introduce the leaders of the Master Gardener group here. I think maybe if you will wave, Steve Page, Elsie Gibson, Jess Danner, Ken Carlott, and Marta Neufeld. All right, we have a proclamation. Whereas since 1990, about 970 million monarch butterflies have vanished. And whereas the spraying of herbicides on milkweed plants, which serve as a butterfly's nursery, food source, and home, has been determined the cause of the monarch butterfly's decline. And whereas monarch butterflies are species that once fluttered throughout the United States by the billions, they flew from Mexico to Canada each spring on a trek that required 6 generations of the insect to complete. Afterward, young monarchs, about the quarter of the weight of a dime, that know nothing about the flight patterns through the United States, fly back to Mexico, resting, birthing, and dining on milkweed. Only about 30 million remain. Whereas Master Gardeners is a nationwide program in cooperation with the state land-grant universities, Kansas State University, and local county extension councils, and whereas across the state of Kansas in 2015, Master Gardeners have donated over 95,000 hours at over $2 million, and whereas Extension Master Gardeners understand the need to protect the monarch butterfly and have provided education about their issue and constructed 2 official monarch wait stations in Shawnee County. Now therefore I, Larry Walgass, Mayor of the City of Topeka, do hereby proclaim the month of August as the pledge to help save the monarch butterfly and urge citizens to learn more about the need to protect and encourage the survival of monarch butterflies. Most important thing is to plant milkweed.
Definitely. We really are appreciative of everybody who came out to the sale because everybody bought it out completely. And I guess Jess has something to say here.
Well, we're very proud of our mayor. Guess where he had his training? As a master gardener.
Okay, full disclosure, I was one of those. I had a blue shirt. But thank you all very much. Thank you for what you do for the city and for the monarch butterflies. Now we have green shirts joining us. If you would like to come up, please. These are the young people in the high school age who had worked. The city started a new program this year to help with youth employment, and through a large number of people applied, and these people were selected, the young people, and have spent the last weeks working in various departments of the state. Very important program where they had mentors, a lot of people involved, but I'd like to have Monique Gaudet. Actually, no, I'm first to have someone introduce the video, and that's
Good evening. My name is Cassandra Davis. I am 14 years old. I worked with the City Communications Department this summer, and the video that I'll be showing you is a Topeka in 2 about the Topeka Way to Work program, and I produced it with the City Communications Department. Enjoy, sir.
Okay, now, you turn it on. Oh.
I got it. We just keep messing with her.
So the Topeka Way to Work program is a program to allow women ages 14 to 17 years old that reside within Shawnee County to have access to various departments that are participating to not only have a summer job, but to be able to have a summer experience that includes employment with the City of Topeka, and also they are involved in a life skills enrichment program as well.
I believe the program is important because we all, as teens, need more job experience before we actually get to a real job. And I believe that this helps us get not a low-end job, but also help us get a higher-end job when it comes down to our job career.
This experience taught me that working isn't as easy easy as I used to think. I will use this when I look for more office jobs because I like working in the office. My coworkers showed me that it's not just work, it's more of like a relationship.
I think it's a positive thing. It allows us adults to give back because I believe everyone has had someone in their life that has directed them to help them along their way.
I decided to pitch the idea because when I was a youth, we had a program similar to this, and it was really helpful to see what it's like to work 8 hours a day and to earn money and be responsible for money. Just the basic training, the one-on-one training, and that's what I wanted for our youth today.
We are extremely appreciative that the governing body provided us $50,000 to be able to implement the Topeka Way to Work program. We are ecstatic that for the 2017 year that an additional $25,000 has been given to the program. So without the governing body saying yes, that they see the value and the importance of giving back to the youth of Shawnee County, this would be for naught. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Monique has been the director overseeing developer of this program, so this is your farewell.
Oh, gosh. So I'll hold back the tears. And so I definitely want to say, Mr. Mayor, to the governing body and to the city manager, we are appreciative of the opportunity to start the 2016 Topeka Way to Work program. And so these are phenomenal 10 future leaders. And so we have seen you grow from the first day that you came to us. And so we had to say goodbye to you last Friday. And so we are thankful that you've allowed us to be in your lives and to sow into your lives. We look forward to the great things you're going to do in the future. And we look forward to you, if you go off to school, to come back and help to lead Topeka. So thank you.
Very good.
I would like the parents of the Topeka Way to Work workers come up, please. This is for Monique Glade for her encouraging help and everything she taught us.
Thank you.
Thank you. The parents coming up, thank you very much for your work, and also the mentors. I know there are mentors here with the mentors stand that provided the assistance, guidance to the young people in all the different departments of the city. Thank you very much for your effort. This is now, congratulations. Thank you. Actually, what we're going to do is I have here their names, and I think it's important to know what council district they are in. So I have Andrew Bayless of District 2. Jalessa Gardenhire of District 4. Adriana Buxton of District 5. Thomas Rutherford, District 5. Jonathan Lee, District 6. Mekari Yates, District 7. Cassandra Davis, outside of the city. Cody Simonson, moving outside the city. Javier Rodriguez, outside the city. And Maya Miller, District 7. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give them a standing ovation.
a few minutes. There are a few more seats in front if some of you want to come up here to be seated. We will proceed with the roll call.
Mayor Wolgast.
Here.
Council members Hiller. Here. Clear. Here. Ortiz. Here. Emerson.
Here.
De La Isla. Here. Jensen.
With my wife's permission, I'm here.
Schwartz. Here. Cohen.
Here.
And Harmon.
And Councilman Harmon is out of town this evening on a business trip. Council members, there are no additions or deletions to the agenda. As you have been made aware, 2 of the discussion items were pulled from the agenda, so we have 4 discussion items, or 2 rather than 4, and we will have 1 executive session.
What's the 2?
I'm sorry?
What 2?
The 2 on the discussion are the Community Improvement District Cyrus Hotel and the annexation on Huntoon Street. Those are the ones that are retained. Okay? Any other comments, questions? All right, we will then proceed with the consent agenda.
A is approval of a workers' compensation settlement for firefighter William R. Miller in the amount of $31,668.65 with open medical for the permanent partial impairment of his back for injuries suffered on February 14, 2014. B is denial of a tort claim submitted by Shunger Properties Incorporated seeking between $300,000 and $500,000 in damages sustained during a flood event. C is board appointment recommending the reappointment of Tim Karkoff to the Topeka Board of Zoning Appeals for a term ending August 1, 2019. D is a board appointment recommending the reappointment of Dean Farrell to the Topeka Public Building Commission for a term ending August 1, 2020. E is a board appointment recommending the reappointment of Richard Winkowski to the Topeka Public Building Commission for a term ending August 1, 2020. F is a board appointment recommending the reappointment of Greg Short to the Topeka Shawnee County Riverfront Authority Board for a term ending September 1, 2019. G is a resolution introduced by Councilmember Karen Hiller approving a special event known as the 2016 Downtown Adventure Race Topeka. H is a resolution introduced by Councilmember Karen Hiller approving a special event known as the Cruise in the Capitol Car Show. I is a resolution introduced by Councilmember Karen Hiller granting Downtown Topeka, Inc. an exception to the provisions of City of Topeka Code Section 945-150 at Seek concerning noise prohibitions. J is a resolution introduced by Councilmember Tony Emerson granting Danielle Hull an exception to the provisions of City of Topeka Code Section 945-150 at Seek concerning noise prohibitions. K is a resolution introduced by Councilmember Michelle De La Isla granting Jerry Hill an exception to the provisions of City of Topeka Code Section 945-150 at Seek concerning noise prohibitions. L is a resolution introduced by Councilmember Karen Hiller granting Let's Help an exception to the provisions of City of Topeka Code Section 945-150 at Seek concerning noise prohibitions. M are minutes of the regular meeting of July 12, 2016, and there is a list of applications before you, and staff is recommending approval.
Okay, that is the consent agenda. We're going to have a lot of noise with about 5 or 6 noise exceptions. Councilwoman De La Isla.
Motion to approve.
It's been moved that it be approved. Councilwoman Clear seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, consent agenda is approved as read. I want to introduce 3 of the appointments that have been approved this evening. First is Dean Farrell. If you would stand, please, or if you're already there. Dean Farrell has been appointed to the Public Building Commission. Rich Winkowski, also appointed to the Public Building Commission, and Greg Schwartz, reappointed to the Riverfront Authority. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your service. We proceed to the action items. The clerk would read A.
A is an ordinance introduced by City Manager Jim Colson authorizing the issuance of $24,945,000 aggregate principal amount of combined utility improvement and refunding bond series 2016A of the City of Topeka, Kansas under the authority of KSA 10-116A and KSA 10-1201 at Seek and all amendment thereto.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask Brandon Kaufman to step forward and provide information on this, answer any questions. Also, Phil Wolf, City's Bond Counsel, is also available.
Mr. Kaufman.
Mayor and members of the council, good evening. So tonight, I'm going to talk in general about 4 items that you have before you for A, B, C, and D. So you have an ordinance for the issuance of revenue bonds in $24.9 million. Included in that first revenue bond, there are 2 parts of that. One is a refinancing of 2007 B bonds, and then another part of that is new money for projects that we've completed or are near completing. The ordinance authorizes the issuance of the bonds. Then you have a resolution that follows that, and the resolution basically prescribes the terms of the agreement to the buyers of those bonds. And then the second ordinance that you'll consider is the authorizing the issuance of refinancing taxable bonds, and that's for the 2016 B bonds in the amount of $1,745,000. That is a refunding, that is a straight refunding of those taxable bonds from 2007. We went to market today with the assistance of our bond counsel, Phil Wolf, and also our financial advisor from Columbia Capital, Jeff White and Kaylin Dwyer. The city conducted a competitive sale today, and we had very good bids. The information, and I just want to point one thing out, the information in your packets, the numbers change based on the way the bonds sold today. So the number that the clerk read was the correct number based on today's pricing. Important things to highlight: the bonds, the refunding of the bonds saved $891,000. That's structured over the next 21 years for the savings. Moody's confirmed the city of Topeka on the revenue bonds with a double A3 with a stable outlook, so we remain the same bond rating for our rev bonds. The strengths that they like about the city is that we have a stable service area, and currently the utilities have good liquidity. Things to watch out for that could possibly decrease that rating is any material changes in our debt service coverage ratios, and then also our future debt plans. You have a summary sheet in front of you. You should. It's a 1-page sheet that has quite a bit of information about today. I'll talk first about the 2016 A bonds. So you can see the summary of bids on the 2016 A bonds up there on the left-hand corner. You can see that the winning bid on that was 2.8488 from Robert Baird. That refinancing portion of that is scheduled to save $118,000, and that'll be structured over the next 21 years. 5 bids were received, so we're very pleased when we get 5 bids on our bonds. It's a good turnout. The policy for the threshold is a 3% savings. Based on the refinancing, we achieved a 24.6% savings today with the refinancing of those bonds. And then you can see the next part I want to talk about is the 2016 B bonds, which is right next to the 2016 A. Those 2016 B bonds were taxable bonds. We received 4 bids for those. The winner of those bids was Piper Jaffray, and that was at 1.3116. As I mentioned earlier, the policy established by the governing body is a 3% savings that achieved a 22.45% savings. With that, I will stand to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Kaufman on this? We would say items A and B, but particularly the ordinance. Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a clarification, you said on both of these over 21 years, did the terms of the bonds get extended then, or are they the same?
Councilmember Hiller, one of the bonds was actually shortened, so we had a taxable bond, and we actually shortened the life of that bond to achieve more savings overall. And we did that in order, because that was a taxable compared to a non-taxable bond. So we lengthened, or we didn't lengthen the refinancing, we just pushed back the part of the new money so that we could push up the taxable bonds repayment cycle. Does that make sense?
So, but the other one is the same number of years, the 2016A.
Mr. Mayor, that is correct.
What's a new bond?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We structured it in this way to achieve more savings. So by structuring it the way that we did, we actually saved another $100,000 for the city.
But my question was, did you extend the term of any of them?
Councilmember Hiller, we did not extend the term.
We shortened one.
Yeah, we shortened one.
And the others are the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Councilman Ortiz?
Thank you. Do we ever get penalized for doing that?
Councilmember Ortiz, there's no penalty for shortening the life of the bonds after the callable date.
Anything else? All right, any other questions? What is your pleasure on the ordinance? Deputy Mayor Delisa.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Councilman Jensen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the ordinance is approved. The resolution is then the action that we have to take to begin to implement the process. Are there any questions pertaining to that? Your pleasure, Councilwoman Hiller.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Councilman Jensen seconds. Any discussion?
Go ahead and read it. I'll go ahead and read the resolution.
That's a very good point. We have to always read the resolutions before we take action. We're moving so rapidly, we skip a step. So, clerk, will you read?
B is a resolution introduced by City Manager Jim Colson prescribing the form and details of combined utility improvement and refunding revenue bond series 2016A of the City of Topeka, Kansas, in the aggregate principal amount of $24,945,000, the issuance of which was authorized by City pursuant to its ordinance passed and approved August 9, 2016, and authorizing certain other documents and actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds.
All right, excellent. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Not. All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
Ms. Ortiz? We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the resolution is approved. Item C, the second phase, if the clerk would read.
C is an ordinance introduced by City Manager Jim Colson authorizing the issuance of $1,745,000 aggregate principal amount of taxable combined utility refunding revenue bonds series 2016B of the City of Topeka, Kansas under the authority of KSA 10116A as amended.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is related to the same presentation made by Mr. Kaufman. He is available to answer any specific questions. Otherwise, we recommend approval.
Are there questions for Mr. Kaufman? Any background on it? Deputy Mayor Delisa.
Motion for approval.
Moves to approve. Councilman Jensen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the ordinance is approved. We'll proceed to item D, the resolution to implement. The clerk would read.
D is a resolution introduced by City Manager Jim Colson prescribing the form and details of taxable combined utility refunding revenue bond series 2016B of the City of Topeka, Kansas in the aggregate principal amount of $1,745,000, the issuance of which was authorized by the city pursuant to its ordinance passed and approved August 9, 2016, and authorizing certain other documents and actions in connections with the issuance of the bonds.
Do you have questions, discussion on this item? Seeing none, your pleasure. Councilwoman Ortiz. And move to approve. Councilman Jensen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the ordinance is approved. Go to item E.
E is security guard license appeal submitted by Mark Riley.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We actually have 3 of these that are going to come forward, so there's going to be some level of similarity in terms of process. I'd like to ask Luther Gagne to step forward, provide maybe a general overview to start, and then specifically address each of these items as we bring them forward.
Good process.
So Luther, if you could just give a brief overview of how the process works and what we're doing here.
Sure. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Luther Gagne, the legal advisor for the police department. What you have before you tonight are 3 appeals for the security guard or merchant police licensing. What this is about is when individuals are prospectively going to be hired by a security guard company, they have to have a license by the city of Topeka in order to be able to work in that position. The police department, they fill out a written application which goes to the police department for background check, and then a decision is made by the department on whether to either grant the license or to deny it based on factors.
Could you talk just a bit louder or get closer to the mic because we have a little trouble hearing?
I'm sorry, Mr.
That's good. Thank you.
Once the written application is received, the department does a background check on the individual, and then a decision is made according to factors that are spelled out in the city code about whether to either grant the license or to deny it. When a license is denied by the department, the city code gives an individual the right to appeal that decision to the city council. The question before the council is specified by the city ordinance on whether the facts supporting the denial of the license are correct. So with that said, there's 3 of these before the council tonight.
Okay. Are there questions on that, on general? So, and our role is to determine if the decision has been made appropriately. Or could you state that, the role of the council in this?
Yes, sir. Under the city ordinance on it says the issue in any appeal from a denial shall be limited to determining whether the facts supporting the disapproval or denial of the license are correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now you want to sort of go to the first one, Mr. Riley?
The license appeal concerning Mark Riley, that application was received by the department, and based on the results of a background investigation, the department made the decision to deny the appeal, or to deny the license. There were 2 reasons for it. One of them was based on, give me just a second here, I've got notes on each of these. It was a case from March of this year, 2016, where he was cited by the Topeka police for possession of marijuana and possession of drug paraphernalia. The reason that the department denied the license was based on City Ordinance 5.90140, paragraph 10, which states that a license may be denied for violations of federal or state statute or city ordinance deemed to make the applicant or licensee unfit to handle the responsibilities of the license. Now, as I said, he was cited on March 16th, or March, I can't talk very well tonight. He was cited in March of 2016 for possession of marijuana and possession of drug paraphernalia. That case is still pending. He's been approved for a diversion. His court date is scheduled for November. When the department reviewed this, if it were a conviction, that would be something that would disqualify him under one of the other provisions. So given the status of the case being pending before the court and the fact that the ordinance is written in terms of, it doesn't say convictions in that paragraph, it says violations. So the department viewed this as something, although it's pending, it does equate to him being unfit to handle the positions of the job because of its very recent time frame and the fact that it's a pending diversion.
Are there questions from the council? Is Mr. Riley here and present? The appeal, they have the opportunity to address the council if they wish. I do not see him. Are there any other questions pertaining to this particular security guard appeal? I'm sorry, Councilman Ortiz.
Mr. Mayor, was Luther done? I thought he was still talking. Were you done?
Well, there was one other, I said initially there were two bases for the denial.
Sorry, I assumed you were finished.
The second one was a Topeka City Code 5.5090 spells out some grounds for mandatory denial of a license, and this is broader than just, it's any license. This is in the general category for any applicant for a license with the city. There are certain things that are grounds for mandatory denial. One of those is being indebted to the city. A review of Mr. Riley's municipal court history, he's got a balance with the municipal court of $199. So it's not much, but with that being worded as a mandatory denial, the department felt like it needed to deny the license. That's all.
Other questions, comments? Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve the denial.
All right. Councilwoman Clear seconds the motion to uphold the decision of the chief of police. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the denial is upheld. Go to the second. The clerk would read.
F is security guard license appeal submitted by Corey Barnes, Jr.
Okay. Mr. Gray, if you would give your brief overview.
This license application is very similar circumstances. Mr. Barnes applied for a license which was reviewed by the department, and based on the results of the background investigation, it was the decision was made to deny the license. That was based on a The denial by the department was based on the qualification section of the ordinance under Section A3 for an individual convicted of 2 or more Class A or B misdemeanors within 10 years. And a second section under A8 for a person who's been convicted of a controlled substance violation within the 10 years immediately preceding the application. When we reviewed his background information, he had a diversion in 2015 for possession of marijuana and possession of drug paraphernalia. The diversion was completed, but it being in 2015, it was within the 10-year time period. And again, there was a second basis for the denial based on an unpaid fine with municipal court in the amount of $269. That's all I have.
Okay, are there questions? Mr. Emerson.
Luther, I'm sorry to call you that. I have a hard time with your last name.
It's all right.
But this is Mr. Barnes, correct?
Yes, sir.
He wrote a letter in which he claimed that he's actually been under a payment agreement with the court, has been making the payments on time.
And that is true, and I did check with the municipal court and verified that he is currently making payments. There's a little bit of question about the city ordinance when it says indebted to the city. Is it just the fact that he owes money, or is being on a payment plan acceptable? We didn't base our denial on that. We included that simply just to be complete, but it was primarily based on the fact that he had a diversion for a controlled substance offense.
Okay. And I realize our thing here is just a bit, this is tough when, it's easy for us that are employed to do this, but if you're not, it's just really hard to people who want to get a job, and we're standing in their way. And I know that's not our part here tonight, and I know you're just enforcing a resolution or an ordinance, but it's tough when these people are trying to get a job to deny this. When it's fine with Westar, it's fine with their employers. Thank you.
Certainly.
Are there other comments?
Can see here.
Well, we're still, any questions more to Mr. Donovan?
I don't think I said it, but the possession of marijuana and possession of drug paraphernalia are both Class A misdemeanors. I cited that initially as one of our reasons that they had 2 or more convictions, and both of those are Class A. But with that, that's all I had.
Are there other questions? Is Mr. Barnes present? Great. So if he wishes to speak, come forward. I do not see him. Are there other questions, comments? Councilwoman Ortiz.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. To my colleague on District 4, I just lost his name. It's not okay with this job, because his job is looking for us to look at this, and we can look at things that they can't. So for you to make the comment that, I am a second time, I believe in second chances. I've sat here and turned these around several times. The mayor can probably tell you that. Maybe that's why he read what we're supposed to do, but we can look at things that they can't look at. So that's what their job's waiting on. I don't want to see anybody unemployed. Trust me. I just feel like I need to say that.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Your pleasure. Councilman Clare.
Move to deny.
Okay. Moves to deny or to uphold the decision. Is there a second? Councilwoman Schwartz seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the denial is upheld. Third, the clerk would read.
G is security guard license appeal submitted by Preston J. Allgood.
Mr. Gonagray.
I'm Preston Allgood, sir.
Fine, you will have an opportunity in just a moment to speak.
Mayor, members of the council, this is the third of the security guard applications that were denied by the department. This one was based on a review of his criminal history. Disclosed a couple of things. The first one was a case from 2010 for battery on a law enforcement officer. At the time, he was under 18. In that case, he was not charged, but it was accepted by the district attorney's office through the immediate intervention program. If you're not familiar with what an immediate intervention program is, it is a program where if an individual makes the agreement with the prosecuting authorities and completes a plan, then they are not charged, and it's very similar to the way a diversion works. The definition of conviction in the city ordinance includes the term diversion or deferred prosecutions. When we looked at what exactly this was, the fact that he was taken into custody by a law enforcement officer and the district attorney made this agreement through a formalized immediate intervention program, it was our decision that that would qualify as a deferred prosecution. That was the department's opinion. Given the remoteness of the offense and his age at the time, the ordinance does allow the city reviewing these applications some discretion. We considered that. The deciding one of the facts that we looked at in considering whether to use that discretion was a couple of years later, he was again taken into custody for a very similar type of incident where he attempted to hit a police officer. He was not charged in that. We didn't base our denial on that, but it was a consideration that there was actually 2 of these incidents that resulted in him being contacted by law enforcement. And I believe that's all I have.
Okay, are there questions? Mr. Dr. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Luther, those were both when he was under the age of 18, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So he was a minor, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he prosecuted? Or he made the agreement, you said he made the agreement with the DA's office?
Yes, it was the immediate intervention program, the
Did he
deferred
finish that
prosecution.
program?
He did.
He did complete it?
Yes, he did. The reason for the denial is based on the wording that an assault or a battery or a domestic violence conviction within 10 years. Although he was underage at the time, it was within 10 years, and it was an immediate intervention program for a battery.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Allgood, if you'd care to come to the podium and address the council, please do so.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Preston Allgood. I am very aware that in my past I have had issues. These were, as the lawyer said, that they were as a minor, and what I understood I was doing when I did this program was that it was a diversion, and I would not, it would not be used against me in any future endeavors for any reasons at all, as far as employment or things such as that. I would like to ask everyone here, the actions, as severe as they may be, they were committed by myself, a minor who was very angry at the time. And since then, I have done much to help myself. I have completed the Family Service and Guidance Program. I've done very well. I'm taking my meds regularly, and I ask that the council and Sir Mayor treats these as the actions of a minor, a 13-year-old, who I am no longer.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Allgood? Councilwoman Claire.
How old were you the second time it happened?
A few years, I probably would have been 15 years old.
Why you keep hitting law enforcement?
I was a very angry person, ma'am, but I'm no longer that person.
So you just stopped being angry?
Yes, well, through therapy and meds, yes.
Well, I saw the letter from Dr. Montgomery, but there's no date on it.
Oh, gosh. I honestly can't remember the date that he signed that. It was shortly after I began my position as a security officer, which I began on May 31st.
May 31st of what year?
This year.
So you have a temporary license now?
Yes. It actually expired, I believe, on the 25th. I can find that for you. Yes, on July 25th of this year.
So you had it from May to July?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old are you now?
I am 19, ma'am. Just celebrated my birthday July 21st.
And so what other positions have you held?
As far as employment? Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. I started off my career as a CNA during the second semester of my high school career. I was able to attend Washburn Tech and get certified as a CNA. It was not my favorite job, to be honest, but I did work for a short amount of time over at McCright Plaza taking care of the elderly. After that, I obtained a career at Alorica, where I stayed for 6 months as a customer service call center representative. After my 6 months there, I decided to pursue a higher paying job at security benefit for through a temporary agency, and during that time I began training to take care of things such as Roth IRAs or retirement programs for different people. Now I will say that I did not understand that information very well, so I was actually let go of after the 3 weeks of training, as I did not understand it very well. I am now employed at Securitas USA.
Okay, this is my suggestion. I've had angry kids. I mean, I've done foster care. I know angry young kids. This is my suggestion. You need to keep your anger under control for 10 years from your last anger blow up. What was it, 15?
Yes.
So then you'd be 25. You need to do that for 10 years. Then you can do whatever you want. Because law enforcement's a serious thing. And in this day and age, we can't just turn our heads on that. I can't. So I can't allow, I won't be voting for you to get your license. But you've got it in you. You can do that. You've done it already for how many years you got now? 4?
Yes, ma'am.
You're young. 6 years going to fly.
If I may say, I am very proud of myself for doing all that I've done.
You should be. So you can do it.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you want it bad enough, you will. Thank you.
Councilwoman Deputy Mayor DeLisla.
Thank you, Mayor Wilgas. I want to tell you how proud I am of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mental health is no joke. And to have, a lot of people do not understand the challenges that young men, period, when they're going through high school and dealing with mental health and the stigma and all the challenges that you have to surround yourself with. And I just commend you for all the work that you've done to get yourself to where you're at. We are very challenged. Our job here is extremely difficult. If it were up to me and I had that choice, I would automatically hit the reset button and say, let's eliminate these ordinances just for today. The challenge that we have is that if we do that for a year, we're going to have to do that for everybody else. And that is so difficult because not everybody has your story. So what I would like to encourage you to do is to continue looking for resources and employment.
Okay.
Don't give up. So just because it didn't work out for you today does not mean that that's going to be the end of your story.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to do great things.
Thank you.
Councilman Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know about crazy, but I was once angry. They probably called me crazy. They probably still do. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to support you. I'm going to vote because I know that you have it in you now.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't like that you went against my officers and that chief back there. I want to see you hug him when you go back there. I want that to be you see that guy?
Yes, ma'am.
That guy will do anything for you, okay? There's a plan out there for you. And if you can't find decent employment, you call me and I will personally help you with that guy back there.
Thank you.
See him back there? Wave your hand, Chief. That's how much we care. But it all starts with you, and you've started there. There's a lot of angry people. They just don't want to admit it. I will stand and say I was that person. So that's the first part. Thank you for coming forward, and I look for good things for you.
Thank you.
You know, we overturned a denial one time, and this gentleman, he now has his master's. He didn't have anything. He was angry. I believe in second chances, and I'm going to give you that second chance. That doesn't mean that you're going to, I don't know what the rest of them are going to do, but I'm going to vote for you because I believe in you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are there other questions or comments? Mr. Allgood. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Council, you have heard the testimony. What is your pleasure? Councilwoman Claire? Move to uphold the denial. Mr. Cohen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 7 yes, Ortiz and Jensen voting no.
7 having voted yes, the denial is upheld. we proceed then to item H, the expenditures ordinance.
H is an ordinance introduced by City Manager Jim Colson allowing and approving city expenditures for the period of May 28 through July 1, 2016, and enumerating said expenditures therein.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll ask Mr. Gerber.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Approval would authorize city expenditures in the amount of $22,916,347.17.
Other questions or discussion? Pleasure. Councilman DeLispa. Councilman Claire seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the expenditures are approved. We go to item I, public hearing, consolidated action plan.
I is a public hearing for the purpose of obtaining public input on the 2017 City of Topeka Consolidated Action Plan and approval of the City of Topeka 2017 Consolidated Annual Action Plan.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to ask Ms. Hahn to step forward and provide an overview of the plan. This was brought to this body previously. This is an item that is quite important to the city and quite important to many of our residents within the city. It's something that we address on an annual basis with HUD.
Okay, and we had it was a discussion item last month, so if you want to give us your overview, and then we'll go into a public hearing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, governing body members. Good evening. I'll be very brief. As you recall from our overview in July, this plan represents our operating and program plan for 2017 for our HUD-funded programs. It includes approximately $5.8 million in both HUD funds and general funds. There are required matches as well as some Economic and Community Development Committee grant funds included in our plan that we present to HUD. Of the 5.8, approximately 3.8 is made up of HUD funds through the 4 grants that we receive, which are Community Development Block Grant, Home, Investment Partnership Grant, ESG, and Shelter Plus Care. In addition to that, the general funds that constitute the $1.9 million are $1.4 for SORT infrastructure, $470,000 for contracted and social service programs, and $120,000 that makes up our required home and Shelter Plus Care match funds. The programming that's delivered in the community through these programs include housing development and redevelopment to address affordable housing needs in the community, and economic development, which is constituted of our empowerment public facility grants, as well as our stages of resource targeting grant, and finally, homeless and social services, which is included in our contracted and social service grant programs and our Shelter Plus Care program. That concludes my very brief summary of the dollars and cents and the programs and objectives that we hope to accomplish in the community in 2017. I would be delighted to answer any questions that you might have.
Are there questions concerning the Consolidated Annual Action Plan? Councilman Claire.
In the budget part, there was an NIA support for $45,000. What is that for? What's the $45,000 do?
Yes, ma'am. That pays for NIA newsletters, cleanups if the NIA chooses to have a neighborhood-wide cleanup outside of our takeover, makeover, or curb your clutter this year. So various programming inside of the neighborhood, as well as, like I'm saying, their newsletters.
I think they can each apply for it. Isn't that something?
Well, the NIAs are provided an annual stipend, so to speak, that again covers newsletter costs. So they provide the content. We print and mail the newsletters inside of the NIAs. And then there's a little bit of funding available for things like cleanup activities. Those are the biggest requests that we get.
I guess what I was leading up to is Councilman Jensen's idea about the beautification. What was it that you were asking about, the 25,000?
This money is not available to neighborhood associations that are not classified as NIAs, and so the money that we appropriated for that project would be available to both NIAs and regular neighborhood associations.
Okay, so is there any place in that grant that we could put that?
In terms of funding it? Well, not with HUD funds. So, and the difference being every neighborhood except the NIAs, we can't fund. We can fund NIAs with HUD funds. We can't fund College Park's barricades, or College Hills, I'm sorry, College Hills barricades for their parade, as an example, because they're not designated as a low-income neighborhood. That's what that NIA status does, is it signals to HUD.
And I think I figured that out, which will lead me to another question when we get to the budget. Okay, so the anti-blight for the 60,000, what is the anti-blight for 60,000?
The anti-blight for 60,000 is part of our inmate programming, the inmate crews that do blight eradication all over the community.
So we have a line item in the budget for the inmate crew.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition to this.
Yes, ma'am. The inmate crews are funded through various streams of funding, which is HUD funding, general funds, and then I'll let Nikki delve into the other. I believe there's motor fuel. I'll get it wrong. There's general funds and then there's HUD funds.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions, Ms. Holland? Oh, Councilman Hiller?
Thank you, Mayor. This is probably a good place to do it. I just wanted to thank you for your leadership this year. Also, I had a resident, Michael Bell, from Tennessee Town neighborhood who's unable to attend tonight to speak, but he sent a letter with a number of suggestions, most of which are pretty substantive for consideration for future, and I think everyone got it, but you also sent him really nice acknowledgments, so I promised I would mention that today.
Yes, ma'am. And that, just for your information, that email will be included in the plan when we submit it to HUD as public comment that we received. So.
And that's true if anyone sends a letter, correct?
Absolutely. If they were to comment at this meeting, at any of the 4 or 5 meetings that we held for that purpose, or if they emailed or wrote or whatever, called.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
We will
sir.
now proceed then to the public hearing, which is a public hearing on the approval of the Consolidated Annual Action Plan with one person who signed to speak, Teresa Miller.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a few short little things to say. I am in support of this. My NIA has gotten a lot out of neighborhood relations. Oakland has. District 2 has really got a winner out of this. We've had SORT grant in Oakland, we've had SORT grant in North Topeka East, and we have North Topeka West that has got SORT grants out of this. This type of program that neighborhood relations handles, they help the less fortunate people stay in their homes, different, just it helps a lot of people. So I hope tonight that you will pass this because it will help a lot of the less fortunate people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And as a public hearing, it is now open for anyone present to also make comment. Does anyone else wish to speak on behalf of the Consolidated Annual Action Plan? This is the Consolidated Action Plan, and then next we will have a public hearing on the budget. Anyone who wishes to speak? Seeing none? I'm sorry. Sure.
Sorry about zipping along up here.
It's all right.
But as the mayor knows, I've
have
been
time.
indisposed. And I think I've signed up for the wrong place. I think I signed up for the budget hearing, but this is probably the better time for me to speak on this, to make my comments.
All right. If you'll be speaking on the Consolidated Action Plan.
Yes, correct.
All right, thank
correct. Good evening. My name is Roger Neufeld Smith. I'm one of the pastors of Southern Hills Mennonite Church, which is a member congregation of Topeka Jump. I hope you know by now that over the last year, representatives of Topeka Jump have had over 25 meetings with individuals and organizations that are concerned about safe and affordable housing in Topeka, including meetings with city staff and elected officials. We have discovered from various sources, including the Consolidated Action Plan from our Topeka Department of Neighborhood Relations, that over 7,000 low-income families in Topeka do not have enough safe and affordable housing options. Topeka Jump has proposed that the city of Topeka form a task force to create an affordable housing trust fund with a local dedicated revenue source to help meet the needs of housing in Topeka. This trust fund would not replace, but would supplement and support the good housing programs that the city has already in place and is proposed. At our Nehemiah Action Assembly last May, Mayor Wolgast was gracious enough to call such a task force together. And I had the honor of attending my first task force meeting last week, and the mayor got to see me roll into that meeting as well. I think it was actually the third meeting of the task force, and lots of good preliminary work was done. There are lots of good people representing fine organizations working at housing issues in Topeka on that task force. The task force has not yet talked about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund as at this point, but I think the mayor intends and plans to place it on the task force agenda in the next month or two. Since our Nehemiah Action Assembly, Jump has met with over 20 employers who have agreed that access to safe and affordable housing needs to be addressed. Many of them signed a letter of support for the role of the Housing Task Force to be researching, designing, and proposing an affordable housing trust fund that you will consider hopefully soon and hopefully approve. Topeka Jump certainly affirms and supports the approval of this Consolidated Action Plan that the Department of Neighborhood Relations has developed. We agree that the programs outlined in this plan help many families from year to year, so we affirm the passage of this plan. But unfortunately, the Consolidated Action Plan does not meet all of the Topeka's housing needs. It's a very good start, but it does not, for example, meet a very critical need for additional housing units. We know that a number of people who need housing outweighs the number of homes available for Topeka, for Topekans, especially with incomes below $30,000 a year. So we encourage the Consolidated Action Plan, but we also encourage you as city council members and of course Mayor Wolgast to seriously consider the recommendations from the Safe and Affordable Housing Task Force, especially its recommendations for an affordable housing trust fund specifically designed to address our city's specific housing needs over and above those addressed by this plan. And tonight, the City Council has a unique opportunity to invest in housing with the unexpected windfall of unspent funds from the street projects. So we strongly encourage you by prioritizing the needs of low-income members of our housing community by using $2 million of these funds for safe and affordable housing. We know that many people in our city today worry about streets. But our low-income neighbors worry about whether they will have a roof over their heads tonight and whether a friend or relative will let them crash on their couch tonight. So we ask that you consider their needs as well. And congratulations to Brendan on his recent, he lives down the street from me, so congratulations on the wedding, Brendan.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Roger. And if I can just speak briefly that he referred to the Affordable Housing Task Force that we have developed, and there are representatives of the council members somewhat are aware of all the different different units, agencies that work in the area of affordable housing, specifically the Topeka Housing Authority, Cornerstone, Habitat for Humanity, the HCCI. I know I'm leaving some out, but it's a group that really brings together everyone interested in this area, and we've had a number of good meetings. I appreciate the attendance of the JUMP representatives, and we will be proceeding and working working on this issue. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there others that wish to speak on behalf of the Consolidated Annual Action Plan? Any others wishing to speak? If not, we call the public hearing to end. Council members, then we have before us the action on the consolidated plan for approval. Councilwoman Hiller.
Move to approve.
Councilwoman Hiller moves to approve. Councilwoman Ortiz seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes, the Consolidated Action Plan is approved. We then go to item J on the Topeka budget.
J is a public hearing to obtain public input and answer questions and objections from taxpayers regarding the proposed 2017 City of Topeka operating budget.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd ask Nikki Lee, the Budget and Performance Manager, to step forward and provide a brief overview.
Good evening, members of the governing body. Just wanted to give a quick update of pretty much the steps that we've taken to get to tonight. Want to be really brief just to give plenty of room for all the speakers. First of all, we started discussing the budget formally with you all in about February when we started discussing the priorities of the governing body and the public, followed by the budget priorities being officially adopted in May. Leading up to that and following that, there were opportunities for public comment on the budget. We had a series of open houses for the CIP and the budget, and also had several surveys. Throughout June and July, there were 4 budget committee meetings leading up to the approval of the budget on July 5th, followed by July 12th, the governing body set the maximum taxes levied and set the public hearing for tonight. And then following tonight, next week, there will be 2 items for the budget. One, the resolution for property taxes, and the appropriation ordinance.
Are there questions at this point before we proceed with the public hearing? Councilman Claire?
Okay, last time we met, we set placeholders, right? And you said there would be time then to talk about the budget. Is now that time?
It really would be next week when we would make amendments, any changes in it.
Okay.
The agenda tonight is really the public hearing to hear from the public, and then we would, any changes can be addressed next week.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other comments, we will proceed with the public hearing. We have some people who have signed to speak. The first is Clark Trammell. And since we have a number, I would ask, we'll say next is Pat Lapp. If you are sitting in the middle of the row, if you could move out now so that we can move along as rapidly as possible. Thank you. And as you know, you have 4 minutes with the lights up here. We'll tell you.
Good evening.
Travel's done this before.
Mr. Henderson, welcome. It's nice to address you all at this subject. I'm going to start out in a positive manner with positive comments. I'm not angry. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity. And what I'm going to focus on is on the budget, is your compensation. Now, I have a question, which I noticed that I'm entitled to ask. Are you promoting or presenting a compensation increase? So I make sure my statements are correct in the budget. Like
yes,
council up to 20 and the mayor up to 30, is that correct?
The budget was amended to have that in, so
okay.
that is in the current budget.
Okay. I want you to put your business hats on because that's how I want to talk to you. Think of yourself as a board of directors because in essence you are. The city is a business. You are running the business as the board. I believe that you should be compensated for your initiatives. However, you didn't take these jobs for the compensation. You took these jobs to serve, and that's understood. There is one question that needs to be asked and answered, not right now, but that is, what are we going to get as the taxpayers for an increase in your compensation that we're not already getting? And now let's put that over here. I believe you should be compensated because that makes you accountable. And you deserve compensation for your time, for the reasons that compensation is set. I want to suggest something to you as a businessman for you to consider. Not all council positions are equal in what you do and serve. Examples being, you have a deputy mayor. There's additional duties. On JADO, some of you vote. Some of you don't vote. Those that don't vote may or may not come to JADO meetings. Those that vote come to JADO meetings. There's an additional assignment of work. I would suggest that you look at your compensation, and to get you where you want to be and where you should be in parity and fairness is that you do a step program that you compensate yourself for what you do. There should be a base compensation I'm recommending of, let's say, just numbers. They can change, but use my numbers. $15,000 to sit on the council. Deputy mayor gets another $2,500 for that responsibility. Any committee that somebody serves on should be compensated additionally, let's say another $2,500. Those who vote on JADO should be given another $5,000. If you look at that compensation for responsibility, that way everybody who's doing something or the motivation to do something is there and incentivizes you to step up and do it, as well as compensates you, not completely, but it tells you that your value is worth something to do that. In business, that's the way boards work. I think that's very fair. That gets you up to your 20 or more, gets the mayor up to the 40 or more, because being mayor should pay more. So maybe he's paid 30 instead of 20, but then you incentivize that position for the other positions of responsibility that he takes forward. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I'm all for it. I think you all are doing a wonderful job. It's not easy. You should be compensated within the realm of what we believe the parameters are, but do it in a process that makes sense for parity, for work and initiative that you put forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Pat Delap, to be followed by Roger Smith.
Should be enough for council members.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Colson.
Name is Pat Delap. What I'd like to persuade you of doing is leaving room in the budget, or making room, perhaps even out of contingency funds, to do something about safety and health. What I'm talking about is mosquitoes. Zika is coming. Zika is a deadly disease, not necessarily to adults like you and me, you know. Out of 5 people that get it, only 1 is probably going to have symptoms that they think something's up with. However, to fetuses, it is absolutely devastating. Currently in the United States and Washington, D.C., there are 1,825 cases. That's of August, that's of the 3rd of this month. Of the U.S. and territories, we have 5,548. Pregnant women with Zika right now in the U.S. and the D.C. are 479. There are 8 cases in Kansas. Now, those aren't pregnant women. It's not been disclosed, but we have 8 cases right now in here. The CDC has done the highly unusual step, and no one can remember it ever being before, is having travel warnings to an area called Wynwood in Miami, Florida. Wynwood is a trendy, fast gentrifying neighborhood of warehouses, art galleries, restaurants, and boutiques. What they're saying is if you go down there, you don't wear skirts for women, you wear pants, you wear shirts, you stay in the air conditioner, you wear DEET or another chemical. Zika can be transmitted either by the bite or right now sexually. They're also looking at other possibilities because there are things. Now, it doesn't affect adults a whole lot, although there's something called Barham-Gilliam syndrome, which has to do paralysis. 1 in 4,000 people get this, and that's a paralysis. If it's caught on time, you're going to be put on a respirator, and a week could be a lot better, and that's if they catch it. For whatever reason, it's much higher with Zika, and that might just be a statistical anomaly because they're only testing people right now with that syndrome. They're not testing the general population. If a child gets, or I should say a fetus, it's not a child, gets Zika, they'll have severe birth defects, death, and microcephalic, which is an extremely strong skull. These kids are going to end up in K&I. K&I costs the average client $180,000 a year. Over a 40-year lifetime, that's $7.2 million of tax dollars. Federal money has recently made available last month, actually could have been as short as 2 weeks ago. Federal government gave $350,000 to Kansas Department of Health and Environment. That is to trap and survey mosquitoes, monitor the number of birth defects, and more dollars to get rid of unused tires, which can become breeding grounds for mosquitoes. The survey that I passed out was done last year. A newer one is not available. Topeka chose not to participate in that survey. Smaller communities are. We are a city of the first class. I think we could do better than that. What are other local entities doing right here? Well, the city, we're doing basically nothing except for picking up tires occasionally when we have Clean Up America. We have, I'm Vice President Tennessee Town NIA. We have worked out an agreement with code compliance that I go around the area, pick up tires, and code comes and picks it up. We've picked up over 200 tires in the last almost 2 years. May have more time.
Yeah, your time is up. Do you want to just bring to conclusion your remarks?
I'll request another 4 minutes if that's possible.
I'm sorry?
I'll request another 4 minutes if possible. I think this is important enough.
Is there a motion, Mr. Jensen?
Move to approve another 4 minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Kent Jensen and seconded by Ms. Claire to allow another 4 minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor vote yes. Opposed, vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 having voted yes. You have 4 more minutes.
Thank you. We've picked up close to 200 tires so far. The County Parks and Recreation, I've talked to the head of the maintenance department down there. They do nothing more than pick up 4 or 5 tires a week, which people discarded on the parks. The County Health Department, per Andy Graham, they do nothing about it. Water pollution control, yeah, they don't really have a program based upon cause. If they got a big complaint, they'll go out and throw some larvicide out in the water to kill it. The last time they threw any larvicide around was last year, and that was just one day. What can be done about it? Kansas State is so concerned about it, they're not waiting for the federal dollar handout. They're using their own funds in trying to find a vaccine. Money is down the pipe. I've already mentioned $350,000 have been awarded to Kansas, and that came from the feds who took the Ebola money left over and took it over there. Congress right now, they are pushing for $1.9 billion to be approved and to be handed out to help fight this upcoming issue. Will it get through? Eventually, but right now, it's kind of a mess up there. Please do respond to the survey that we've had. Now, what can we do about it? We can apply for some of this money to help get rid of tires. We can start with code doing more aggressive compliance of when we see used tires, when we see standing water, do something about it. We can hand out or have at cost dinks, which are things you throw into standing water, take care of it. And our tire roundup, why don't we have little rewards? 50 cents a tire that kids can bring in that have been discarded. Or maybe make a deal with going to McDonald's or an ice cream, something like this. That'll get them off. Education. Make pamphlets. Include the pamphlets in the water bills. Go to the different NIAs and talk about the importance of this. Again, pick up tires. We can eventually start a spraying program. We used to do this in the 70s. It's dead now. I suspect the equipment we have, been sitting in a field someplace in 2 acres, being rained on, things like this, it's probably trash. It doesn't work anymore. It's time, gentlemen, to start spooling up the machine. It does take time. My guesstimate, and I'm not a scientist, it's going to be here, Zika will be, in 30 months. When it's in Oklahoma, gentlemen, that's time to panic. Let's start doing something now before that occurs. And I'd like to see money pushed over to the budget for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Roger Smith, do you want to, you're not going to roll up here and address us? Okay. Next is Janet Fisher. Oh, there.
I'm Janet Fisher, North Topeka NIA Vice President. At our neighborhood get-together we just had not long ago, we learned a lot from everybody. And one of the things we were kind of upset with a little bit, with all due respect, when you're wanting to double your salaries and you're not finding a way how to really get the money in the budget to cover certain things. Now, I'm talking about, we're dealing with McKinley School. You can't fight a dead person. You can't do this, you can't do that. The grass is up to the car windows code. I mean, city's not doing much about it. I know there's rules and regulations and you're trying to work on things, but I'm also underneath the understanding that we've tried to take in the legislation about, hey, when somebody dies 20, 30 years ago, let's get these people who's executive of the states, because I know a house in my area going through the same thing like McKinley School, that they pay the taxes on everything, but it's not in their name, so you can't, find a dead person. There's ways that we can work with things, and as far as your salaries go, I think you deserve a 2% raise. I don't think you'd have to get double now. Sandra's in my area, and we've been talking a lot about issues, but there's got to be a law that we can work with, to try to get these things changed to help us with different things. But code, yes, I know they're shorthanded. Yes, I know you're coming up with a different plan to go to the 311 or whatever that was that we were told. And that's a good deal, to work on, but not everybody has computers. So we're going to have to find a way to get word out to them, that you need to go in, and then you can decide where and how the things are going and to what part in the city. If you're understanding what I'm trying to say, because I'm still getting my feet wet on things. But if you got any questions, you can call me. We're disappointed, but I understand, Mayor, that you've got your hands full. You've got other additional, places and things to do. We missed you at our gathering so that you can meet us and talk to us, so forth. But hear where we're coming from, please. We need to get the laws changed when people keep the name of the dead person on a property, and 20 years later, we come into a quandary that we can't do anything about the property. What needs to be done the way it should be done? We're thinking, or I'm thinking, I'll take the blame. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate hearing from you. Next, Joseph Ledbetter.
Governing body, thank you. First off, I want to start, as I always do, with a compliment. I think the city's better run this year than it was last year. I think it was better run last year than it was the year before. And I've said that to management, I've said that to administrators, I've said that to council members. I think the TPD is excellent. Because I have a lot of involvement in Highcrest, I know the difference that even 1 year has made. And I commend the chief, I commend all the police officers that have been involved. It's very peaceful in Highcrest right now. It's going to stay that way. On salaries, I'm okay with an increase because I know you haven't had one, I believe, since 2004. Of course, none of you were here at that time. That's 12 years. I think 15,000 is a good number. You might argue with that, but I do think it needs to be increased. I think the mayor could be at 30. One thing I want in return, though, is I want the citizens to have more input into JADO. And I think it's unfortunate that over the years I observed JADO, until last year, I didn't see a lot of involvement of the council. I'm seeing it now, and I want to continue to see that because the economic development funds are important for many reasons, most of all because everybody pays them. And for that reason, they should have input. I have been looking, now it's interesting about the Zika being brought up because one of the things I've asked for code enforcement to do is enforce the screen ordinances. We're supposed to have screens on all these rental properties, and I'm not seeing it. And I was told earlier this year they weren't going to enforce it. Well, maybe they've changed their mind, but I think that when you have that kind of a problem that could become an epidemic, we have got to do preventive measurements besides just pick up tires. I think every tenant in this city, including in these 7,000 substandard houses that were mentioned earlier by the Jump spokesperson, I think they need screens. I don't think it's asking that much. Now, I have talked to Public Works. They said their productivity has greatly increased. One of the things that I suggested for years was that we get GPS on all of our vehicles. And we're about there. I still believe the police department needs GPS on those vehicles. And I think it's a safety concern. I want to talk about code enforcement. I looked at the budget. The budget is proposed at basically $1.7 million, 16 people, 10 inspectors. I think they're adequately staffed. I think they're adequately funded. The problem is, as I go around the city, I'm not seeing the progress I want to see. I'm seeing it on 21st Street over by the Expo Center. I see 3 different buildings that are in horrible condition. And they've gone downhill since they were purchased from yet another landowner who people were complaining about. He doesn't own them. So what's the problem? It must not be the owners, it must be the enforcement. I drive by 29th and Fairlawn. I see piles of rubble that have been there for 6 years. The owner that had that everybody was complaining about, hasn't had it in 3 years. So what's the problem? Is it the owner? Or is it the lack of code enforcement? But now I'm hearing, and I talked to a lot of people in this town, I'm hearing complaints from people on the other side of the creek. I'm gonna ask for an extension. I'm gonna ask for 4 minutes.
Councilman Clare? Move to clear 4 minutes. Second. Councilwoman Ortiz seconds. Discussion. All those in favor vote yes. Opposed vote no. I vote yes.
We have 9 yes.
9 yes. You have 4 more minutes.
Thank you. The people on the north side of that creek are now, the ones they were just bringing this up to me at a meeting the other day. They said every time the wind blows, I know it blows very rarely in Kansas, they're getting dust, gravel bits on their houses and in their yards. And it kind of reminded me of this problem we had in Highcrest a few years ago where we had a rock quarry operating. And I had to appeal to the manager to get it shut down, and he dealt with it. But it should never have happened. And so that dust and dirt was blowing into that probably affecting, at that time, 40 to 50 houses. We have got to have property owners respect their neighbors in this town. And as I go through some of the neighborhoods, and some of them are pretty nice little neighborhoods, but they'll have 1 or 2 rental properties in them where the tenants are not screened, unfortunately, by the landlords, and that's their job, but they don't want to do it. So the tenants don't mow the lawns. Sometimes they're on drugs. We don't know what they're doing. They're home all hours of the day. They're not working, but basically just completely trashing the neighborhood. And so my concern is not just Highcrest. My concern is, as I drive around the city, I'm seeing a lack of enforcement in situations that I think should be very obvious. You can see it from the street. Enforce it. You don't have to wait for a report. Write it up. I am concerned because I think this is economic development as well. And the city didn't show well in the Gardner report. He said that specifically. And so it's good to rejuvenate downtown. It's good to see progress in certain areas. But if we don't do code enforcement well, and we have some of these people that don't care about their neighbors, we drag those neighborhoods down, and then we get a situation where my good friend Betty Phillips, she's maybe 2 or 3 of the houses are maintained on the whole block out of 20 or 25 houses. And the other people just gave up and moved. Or the landlords don't want to invest there that would clean those properties up because they're concerned about their rate of return. If they put $40,000 into a property, counting the rehab and purchase, and it only comes out at $20,000 because the people next door won't take care of their property, won't paint it, have wild dogs running around all the time, people are not going to invest in those neighborhoods. And we've got to get private investment if we want some of these neighborhoods to turn around. But my bigger concern tonight is that I don't want good neighborhoods to also descend to the level of some of the other ones I've seen. And I'm not picking and choosing. I'm saying I am concerned. And when people invest in a house, that is usually their biggest investment. And they don't want a landlord investing next to them that will not take care of that house and refuses to take care of that house and has tenants that may have very large dogs and other people in the neighborhood have children, and the landlord seems to have no concern about what's going on with that property. The only people these people can call and get any action is code enforcement. You have to have strong code enforcement, and it has to be very responsive, and it has to be very quick to respond. So that's my concern. I really think most of the city's being well run. I just want to see improvement in one area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker is Teresa Miller. Teresa Miller.
Good evening again. Since we left off with code compliance, let me pick up on a little piece of code compliance. It's not really code compliance problem because here's the deal. And Janet Fisher was talking a little bit about it. McKinley School took me 5 years to get code compliance to listen to me. The only way they listened to me, I had to get on code compliance committee and try to get them to understand that commercial buildings and other type of buildings like that are in code, need to be taken care of also. Now, took me after 5 years, the gentleman that owned the school passed away. His son won't put it in his name. He's got a $35,000 code violation put on him. Guess what? You can't take a dead person to court, but there's no laws to change that right now. So now I've got a school sitting there with holes in it, deteriorating. It has taken me 6 to 7, altogether 7 years to get something done with it, and it's still sitting and decaying. So much for code. The other thing that bothers me, and this was a big topic at my council, at my NIA meeting, is that, and this is what I hear from people, you shocked a lot of people, and you guys wanted to double your salary. I don't see it. They don't see it. They might say maybe a 1.5%. But taking 10,000, making 20,000, first of all, some of us need to do our job in the first place to earn that 10,000 that you're getting now. You need to work with your NIAs. You need not to go behind their backs and do things and they say, ha-ha, we did this and this is the way it's going to be. You work with your neighborhoods. We put you in there. You need to listen to the people that voted for you. So I hope you understand there is a lot of people out there that think this raise that you want is crazy. The other thing, the last thing I'm going to talk about is, and I've talked to till I'm blue in the face, safety reasons for North Tyler Street. And I'm going to tell you again what scared the holy Hades out of me. It is 55 feet wide. Most of your streets are 70 feet wide. I had a bicycle on one side, a bicycle on the other side. Mind you, they only have this much to ride the bicycle. That's it. It goes into a ditch otherwise. I had a truck coming on. I'm going this way. Cars behind both of us. You expect us to give them 3 feet. If either one of us vehicles would have gave 3 feet, we would have hit head on. This is a dangerous road. There is no sidewalks. We are not allowed to have sidewalks till it gets tore out and all the sewer and all this gets put in. I've been told I have to wait to 2020. This is a dangerous street in Topeka, Kansas that needs to be looked at, and another project needs to be put aside and this project put in its place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. That completes the list of those who signed up. However, as a public hearing, there are others in the room that wish to speak may do so. Does anyone else wish to speak in the public hearing on the 2017 operating budget? Anyone else that wishes to speak? Have that opportunity. Seeing none, we then declare the public hearing on the 2017 City of Topeka operating budget to be over. That completes the action items for the council this evening. We will now proceed to the non-action items. The clerk would read item A.
A is discussion of a resolution to set a public hearing date of September 6, 2016, to consider the request of establishing a community improvement district, CID, for the Cyrus Hotel.
Since we have some people leaving, why don't we take just a couple minutes if some people wish to leave, and then we can. You want to take a break?
Let's take a 5.
Well, let's take about a 5-minute break, council. Then we can reassemble.
Take care of it.